Imagine trying to build a massive, gravity defying skyscraper, but deciding to pour the foundation on a swamp. Sounds completely absurd, right? But what if I told you that most of us are doing exactly that? Not with concrete and steel, but with our own potential. We are trying to construct these incredible lives while standing on a foundation of self doubt, surrounded by people who are actively pouring salt into our soil.
That is such a vivid way to put it, and it is terrifyingly accurate. We often think of success as just a matter of grinding harder or having the right skills. But there is a hidden architecture to our lives. If the people around you are constantly projecting cynicism, and if your internal voice is a loop of harsh criticism, you are biologically wiring yourself for failure.
Exactly. I recently came across this fascinating case study about an architect. He was incredibly talented, secretly sketching these brilliant, sustainable, futuristic buildings. But in the real world, he only ever built boring, gray boxes. Why? Because he hung out with colleagues who proudly called themselves realists. You know the type. The ones who bond over complaining and treat ambition like a character flaw.
Oh, the classic realists. That is usually just a defense mechanism for people terrified of trying. The tragedy is how contagious that mindset is. When this architect shared his ideas, they would instantly tear them down. Because he lacked a strong baseline of self-worth, he absorbed their stagnation as absolute truth. He shrank his life to fit into a room that was way too small for him.
It is crazy how we do that to ourselves. And it actually took a physical toll on him. He stopped drawing, couldn't sleep, and felt this constant dread. It makes me wonder what is actually happening in the brain when we subject ourselves to that kind of toxic environment. Is it just psychological, or is there a physical cost?
There is a massive physical cost. This is where the science gets mind-blowing. Have you ever noticed how you feel exhausted after sitting next to someone who is super stressed out? That is because of mirror neurons. Your brain is designed to mimic the emotional state of whoever is in the room. If your inner circle is pessimistic, your brain absorbs that anxiety, and your cortisol levels spike. You are basically inhaling secondhand stress.
Secondhand stress. That is brilliant and honestly a little scary. So, you can literally catch someone else's mediocrity like it is a cold?
Exactly. And it gets worse. Chronic self-criticism keeps your brain in a constant state of threat. When that happens, your amygdala, the fear center, gets bigger, and your hippocampus actually shrinks. That is the part of the brain responsible for creativity, learning, and problem solving. Staying in a toxic circle while hating yourself literally shrinks your brain's capacity to innovate.
Wow. So, when that architect finally took a trip alone, met a mentor who told him he couldn't grow a vibrant garden in salted soil, and decided to cut off his cynical friends, he wasn't just changing his social calendar, he was saving his brain.
Precisely. He had to forgive himself first, which is the ultimate act of self-compassion. Psychology calls this overcoming cognitive dissonance. You cannot outperform your own self-image. If you secretly believe you are unworthy, you will self-sabotage opportunities just to prove yourself right. But the flip side is the Pygmalion effect. When he finally surrounded himself with people who asked, "How can we make this work?" instead of "Why bother?" their high expectations pulled him upward. Within 2 years, he was leading teams and building his wild designs.
It really redefines the whole concept of self love. It is not some vain, self indulgent spa day, it is psychological armor. And curating your inner circle with absolute ruthlessness isn't being a snob, it is a biological necessity for survival.
It truly is. You have to protect your foundation at all costs, because everything else you do is built on top of it.
That leaves us with a pretty heavy question to chew on. If you were to take a hard look at the people you spend the most time with right now, are they watering your soil, or are they pouring salt on it? And more importantly, when you talk to yourself, are you laying down bricks, or are you swinging a wrecking ball?
That is the ultimate test. The blueprint is entirely in your hands.